Hi everyone, to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today I'm going to be showing you how easy it is to roast your own pumpkin to make your pumpkin puree. The only thing I really use pumpkin puree for around this time of the year is for making pumpkin pies. And I usually like to buy the canned pumpkin. It's everywhere in the supermarkets because it's so good. But roasting it really gives it another layer of flavor, makes it taste so much better. And it's really easy to do. So let's get started. Okay, so I'll roast 2 sugar pumpkins today. These are the smaller pumpkins. The really big ones that are found everywhere around this time of year are not going to be good for this recipe because they'll be stringy and they have no flavor. So don't even work with those. And they're giant. They're so hard to work with and dangerous to cut through. I like to cut the stems off because it makes it easier to slice through the pumpkin later on. So with a very sharp knife, carefully cut around the border of the stem, and then it should slice off easier. Go very slowly with this so that way you don't cut yourself. And then you'll see that some of the flesh is exposed. This is going to make it so much easier to slice the pumpkins into 2 equal pieces. Like you see here, this is how you do it. Just go down the center on one side and down on the other side. Then using a spoon, you can scoop out all of the seeds and that stringy part that's in there. You can either discard this or roast the seeds later on, keep them in a bowl and rinse them really well, dry them, and then roast them for snacking. They're delicious. Now we're gonna put the pumpkin halves on a baking tray that's lined with parchment paper. You can just put them face down, cut side down on the parchment paper. If you're using this for a sweet recipe, you can drizzle a little bit of melted butter on the inside where the fleshy part is. You could also sprinkle some granulated sugar or brown sugar over the flesh, and a little sprinkling of cinnamon will be flavorful too, but you can leave them plain because the pumpkin pie filling, if you're using these for pumpkin pie, is going to have all of the flavor. These are going to go into a preheated oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit, and they're going to bake for about 45 to 50 minutes or until the pumpkin is nice and tender. When you poke through it with a knife or a fork, it should go through really easily and the flesh should be very, very soft. Set it aside until it's cool enough to handle. Then you can flip them around and the skin will literally peel off. You can scoop out the flesh with a fork or a spoon and transfer it to a container or a serving bowl. You can mash this up using a food processor or with a fork, and then you can store these whichever way you like. And that's it. Just like that, you can make your own roasted pumpkin puree. If you want to use it in savory dishes like soups, that'll be good too. You don't have to mash it up if you're doing it that way. You can just cut it into slices and just add it into soups or whatever. But I do like to stir in a little bit of pumpkin puree in my winter soups. It's so mild in flavor, you barely know it's there, but it's loaded with nutrition. And I like to sneak in some veggies wherever I can so that way we can all benefit from them. Once the pumpkin is roasted and mashed up, you can put it into freezer-safe containers and freeze it up to 6 months. It'll stay fresh for 6 months in your freezer. If you're going to be using it fairly quickly, you can just put it in an airtight container and it'll keep fresh in the refrigerator for between 4 to 5 days. So it's up to you which way you want to do this. I hope you guys give this recipe a try. I have several pumpkin pie recipes on the blog and on this channel as well, but you're going to want to stay tuned for this pumpkin ravani, which is a semolina cake. It's a spiced pumpkin semolina cake, ravani, that I'll be sharing with you next. So stay tuned for that video. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you all next time. Yes, yes.